week as a mental health conference brings together patients and providers in Perth.
When Charlie Kickett walked away from his wife and children one day in 1997, he was just trying to put some distance between himself and his rifle. Part of the stolen generation and abused while on a mission, he'd been battling inner demons for years without any support.
I thought, where am I going to go? Who am I going to go to? That's when I got to the stage where I was contemplating suicide.
Charlie was a police officer at the time and his sergeant stepped in, ordering him to see a psychologist, something he says he never would have done on his own.
I never cried so much in all my life. She helped me through the roughest time of my life. And I wouldn't be here today talking about it if it wasn't for her, if it wasn't for that sergeant giving me an order.
20 years on, he and his wife of 44 years, Helen, are part of a project to help other Indigenous people locate mental health services they may need.
It's a terrible thing to go through, you know, because families are left behind to pick up the pieces, and sometimes you wonder, well, who's next, you know?
Professor Pat Dudgeon says Aboriginal suicide rates are twice that of other Australians and they're on the rise.
It is an Australian national story. It's not restricted to one town, one state or one community.
Michael Wright set up the Looking Forward project, which helps mental health organisations cater to Indigenous clients.
For Aboriginal people themselves, they've become quite distrustful of the system. They don't trust the system. They don't believe that the system actually works for them. And so we really have to rebuild the trust.
Well, I think we've tried for a long time to run out a whole lot of programs and solutions that we think are going to fix problems. But what's actually needed is to jointly with Aboriginal people respond to what their needs are. And they're able to tell us.
Initiating that conversation is one of the aims of a mental health conference being held in Perth this week, bringing together patients and providers to try to strengthen the sector.
What we look for, and what I look for is if I go into some service, I look for something that's familiar to me.
Discussions from the conference will shape a series of recommendations to take to the government. Courtney Bembridge, ABC News.
The New South Wales Government says it's committed to tackling homelessness on the streets of Sydney. The City of Sydney's latest survey of homelessness shows 486 people are sleeping rough in the inner city alone. That's the highest number since the Street Count initiative began in 2010. The Minister for Family and Community Services, Brad Hazzard, says the numbers fluctuate as people move in and out of the city seasonally. However, he says $182,000 has been set aside for on-the-ground homelessness services this year and for better coordination between agencies. Thousands of Sydney-siders as well as international visitors are gearing up for the 38th Gay and Lesbian Mardi Gras Parade tonight.